says 23 pounds with a 28-inch bar and chain. This one says 26.4 pounds. So we're repeating on the 26 pounds. So the 288 is 3 pounds lighter with the same bar and chain combination as a 395. Let's see if this repeats. I had 23 and 26.4 with these two chainsaws. That's a loaded up G288. It does not have a full wrap bar, and it's potentially 3 pounds lighter than this situation right here, which does have a full wrap bar. Not going to change it. It's got its purpose in life, but it's been a little bit of a problem when I've been logging because I can't get as low on the stump because it interferes with the root flares. Now I converted my 562 back and put a 24-inch bar on that for a lightweight saw, and I'm going to leave that right alone. I like it the way it is, you know what I'm saying? But let's see what it weighs. Load it up. $26.4 pounds is what the scale says. And the 288 weighs 23 pounds even. So there's a 3 pound difference between those two setups. So I'm going to hope that there's enough power in the 288 that I don't miss the 395. And if that's the case, the 288 will be a better saw for me, just simply because it's lighter. Now I'm going to like the 395 more. There's just nothing you can do about the emotional side of that. Sometimes you just like a saw. Well, I just like that one. But it is a beast. It is a heavy beast. And I've run the 288 enough to know that it's pretty solid. Has all the power it needs to pull the 28-inch bar. And the combination of having a standard handle, the 28-inch bar, and being 3 pounds lighter means it might be a better solution for me out in the woods. So I'm going to go out today and start dropping trees. I just put a new chain on that 28-inch bar with the 288, and at the end of the day, I'm either going to like it or hate it, right? So that's what we're going to do now. And but this just brings up the point that every time you try to evaluate a saw, you know, especially here online, people want numbers that says something's better than the other saw. Well, I mean, if you look at the numbers from a power perspective, the 395 is going to win hands down. If you look at the numbers from a weight perspective, the 288 is going to win hands down. So now you start thinking about, what if I modify the 288 to get it to the 395 power level? Well, you could do it, I suppose. You know, but what do you do to the life of the saw? The bottom end on the 288 is pretty solid, pretty big bearings, so I'm not worried about that. So we may go into that, you know, to come up with a lightweight, well, relatively lightweight saw for doing what I do. But I guess my point is that no matter what I do to the 288, and I can get its performance level to match the 395, probably not too awful hard using my tools I have at my disposal, I'm still going to like the 395 better. I just like it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to run the full wrap handle because I like the way it looks. And that, along with a muffler mod, that's my new bling saw. And I'm just simply not going to change it because I like it. And rational thought is not a part of this equation. It's just simply what I like. It's as simple as that. But I am going to try to whip this into a production ready saw. That's my goal for the next round of logs. This guy here is going to sit in as a backup saw. It's proven its worth. It shows no signs of failure of any kind. There's nothing going on with that saw that gives me pause. And if this continues, this trend continues, I'm going to say that that saw is a work ready saw. Right now I'd say it's work ready for like a tree service, firewood guy, hobby farmer, that type of thing. And if you like playing with saws and big saws in particular, I think that's a winner right there, the 395. But let's see if we can make this here into a useful saw where maybe it never hits the emotional high that the 395 does, but maybe the numbers make it practical enough that it still punts the 395 out of a pickup saw and go type of situation where it's the one I choose versus the 395 because of the weight and the power. So we're going to enter in a phase of trying to do that. I can tell you right now my 372 based 2175 is that saw. It's yet again lighter than this one right here, but it's lighter than both of these by quite a bit, and it has almost as much power as that 288 does right now. So it's a winner. This one right here, it's got the 51.4 millimeter XPW top end on a 2171 chassis with a compression increase, and the mods plus the weight of that saw make that thing a winner. But it's all OEM. To replicate that, I don't even know if you can replicate that saw. I mean, even if you start with a 372X torque, to try to find one of those top ends and then tweak it the way that saw is tweaked, I just don't know if a person can do it. So there's really no sense in me, harping on this saw other than the fact it's a winner. It works really well because nobody can replicate it. Conversely, both those saws are something that anyone with $500 and some elbow grease can replicate. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they're going to come to the surface on my channel more than the ones that nobody can do, because I don't want to brag about what I have. Never been there. What I like to do is show what I do, not tell you how to do things, but also show tools that you in fact can replicate if you happen to want to. That's where we're going to go now. We're going to run that 288 today, and at the end of the day I'm going to decide if I like it the way it is, or do I have to start trying to modify it, or I just simply don't like it and it goes back into the the corners. This one comes back out. So anyway, that's where we are. I think I'm going to run the 562 for this next one, just because I have a lot of top to work with. And I'm also going to cut down some of the beech trees to make a place to put the big soft maple. And I don't know if I'll have enough gas in the 562 to handle both those trees plus the prep, but I'm going to give it a shot. And I had to go back to the standard handle on the 562 because the way the full wrap was, it was just getting in the way too much. It just didn't let me work around the root flares because they kind of come out quick, and I was losing just too much and it was too frustrating. So I got back to a conventional handle. And like I was saying before, I want to try the 288 because it's 3 pounds lighter than the 395. I'm going to leave the 395 alone. It's a working system right now. On the really big trees, I kind of like its power, and I'll sacrifice a few inches on the butt of the tree because I just happen to like the saw. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. One of those emotional things, not practical. But I want to see if I can work the 288 into a preferred felling saw, in my operations, just because I want to see if I can. That 3 pounds means something. It doesn't have the same power as a 395. It's not even close, actually. But 3 pounds is 3 pounds. And it has enough power to pull the 28 quite handily. Maybe we can do a muffler mod or a compression change. I'm getting a little bit sour on big compression, not because it doesn't do things for efficiency and performance. That's not it at all, but it makes it harder for me to pull the saw over. And I'm beginning to discover my limitations, and that kind of begins to alter my metric as to what I want to do to a saw. The starting and restarting when it has enough power is a lot more important to me now than it was even 5 years ago, where being able to cut faster and have that snappier, lively feel was a priority because I had more than enough strength to handle the extra compression. Now I'm getting to the point where I like them, don't get me wrong, but man, I dread starting them sometimes. It just hurts. All right, before I start these two saws, I want to make a comment on wedge drivers. This is my current wedge driver. I don't know, it's at least 3.5 pound head on a straight handle. I love it. It's obviously, for me, the best solution. I might make one with a shorter handle by about, 3 or 4 inches, but it just works for me, that one right there. I started out with these kind of things, and these are like 2.5 pound camp axes, and for a longest time these were fine, and a lot of it was I wasn't having to really push trees over so much as I was just letting them go their natural way. And then, I don't know, last year sometime I made this thing right here. It's about a 4 pound head on a broken axe handle. And this thing for me was a game changer because it gave me the weight to actually move a tree where I could wedge it over. And I did a couple of videos last fall where I was actually taking a really heavy lean and then pounding it back up and over. And it was because I had enough weight in the head and it was short enough that I could control it, where I was able to get the impact force required to drive those wedges to move that tree up and over. So this thing here was great. I really enjoyed this thing, and it's in a lot of my videos. And it was my chicken manure to chicken soup $0 wedge driver I built from a old axe head that came off like a Walmart axe. It had one of them plastic handles that I beat up as a wedge, and this was a handle I had taken off another axe where I had taken its head and put it on a different handle, and so it was a good piece of wood, right? And it survived, and so I turned it into a wedge driver, and this was, to that point in time, the best wedge driver I ever had, and it's still very functional today. I think the only thing it needs is orange tape. So this wedge driver pretty much obsoleted all these. I have never picked up one of these for a wedge driver since I put this together. Just done. Well, then I built this one right here, and this is a 3.5 pound head on a camp handle, kind of going back to that camp axe type thing. It was all right, but I kept finding myself down here with it, and the handle was kind of thin right there. So it worked quite well, and it had enough weight to where if I started getting back in here, I was getting enough impact to drive wedges. I wasn't 100% happy with it. I kind of knew I was going to replace it. And then I ran into this fella next town over, and for lack of a better word, I'm going to call him the Ithaca Axeman. And he's a collector, and he was thinning out the herd. Sold me a couple of these axe heads, 3.5 and 4 pound axe heads. And I asked him if he had a straight handle, and he did. He had a couple straight handles. One of them I have in the vise right now where I'm trying to bend it to get it straight because it has a curve to it. And this one right here, which I very quickly put onto this, 3.5, 4 pound, I guess it's a 3.5 pound axe head. And this thing here, I don't know what it is about the straight handle. It just fits for me, and that's what I've done from this point on. But same guy I got my that's a 4 pound head right there. 4.5 pound actually. And this thing actually is competitive with my Husqvarna splitting maul for busting up firewood. I really, really like this tool right here. It may not be pretty, but it sure works. And that means, yes, it gets started, but I do have to tighten the chain just a little bit. So let me do that. And I love the access I have to the screws instead of having to work around that stupid full wrap that really didn't do much for me except for piss me off. Look cool. I guess that's a good sign, right? What's all that revving about? I want to make sure it's oiling. And that chain is wet. Actually, I got to tighten it up a little bit too. Now, I had left this tree before because it has a defect in it. But I think I'm going to go back to it. And it wants to go that way. Not much, but it does. It's weighted that way. Before I can get it, though, I have to cut away that top and make myself an escape route. So the prep I'm going to do with the 562. Well, isn't that the narrative? My 562 fouled the plug or something. So the 288's going to have to pick up where an OEM saw left off. That's the way it wants to go anyway, so why fight it? And then just gives me more cleanup I have to do around the top, that's all. And this little stick right here, I think I'm going to bring that up as a saw log. That tree should have gone by now. There's got to be some holdwood in there that I don't know about. Let me take the saw and stick it in from the side. See if I can find some in there. Because if you look at it, it's got the lean. It's just not going. So. There it goes. It's just going slow. It'll go. Yeah, maybe it had a little too thick a hinge. I took that out, and a little bit of center rot. But what I got to do now, though, is I have to go clean that top up. So, set this right here. So I got this one right here. I like to run it right there and not hurt that cherry. The trees off to the left there, I don't care, they're just beech. So I'll just drop it right down to the mess of them and hope it breaks them all up. And I've got this very large soft maple right there. A little bit limb tied. I don't know if it's going to be able to pull itself free or not. I think it will. But I have to give myself a lot of running room, for lack of a better word, to get that one up and out of there. And so let me just do those and call it a day. This is what I can tell you about the 288 right now. It is lighter than the 395, and it doesn't make anywhere near the horsepower, but that's okay, it makes enough. So it makes enough horsepower with the OEM pump. It's oiling good enough. It's easier for me to restart because it has less compression. And boy, look at the maple. Look at this wood. This is some beautiful wood. But, you know, it's one of those things where it'll do. I mean, I could run that saw. Probably for the rest of this load, I'll mix in the 562 when I have it sorted out. But it's enough saw. It's not the 395. It's not that at all. But it's 3 pounds lighter. It has enough power to pull that bar. And one thing I got to remind you, one thing I have to tell you is that has a 7-pin sprocket where the 395 I put an 8-pin on there, and it still pulled that 28-inch bar, which is one of the reasons why it would just blast through some of that big wood. It could hold that chain speed because it had the power to do so. And that's saying something. It really is. So, but you know, I can appreciate that saw. It's really not that heavy. I would say the only really issue I have with that saw right now is it just vibrates. It vibrates and it's a bit of a gas hog. So what I was wondering is If I changed piston weights, maybe that might help. I don't know if I should go heavier or lighter. I'll look at the piston that's in there and see if I can balance it out better. Or I might just build this with an OEM crank and see if I can make it balance out better. But it does vibrate. And I'll tell you what, it vibrates like crazy as compared to the 395. But yeah, my hands are like numb.